Greetings and welcome, everyone, to another installment of what could cynically be described as thinly veiled history lessons tangentially related to video games. Today's episode is a bit late, primarily because I went through 3 different topics and scripts before I could fully commit to this idea. You'll see the others in the near future, as soon as I can find the motivation again. For now, though, we're going to be returning to Koei-Tecmo's hack-and-slash series set in 2nd and 3rd century China, Dynasty Warriors. In the first months of 2021, I had gotten back to playing Dynasty Warriors 9, and while I wouldn't say it's the best entry in the series, I also don't think it's all that bad. I definitely enjoy it, and I'd say that the idea of an open-world Musou game could work with a little more polish. While traveling between missions and taking in the sights, I would often find myself thinking about my experience with the series, as well as my opinions on the individual games and the ever-growing cast of characters. That's actually where I got the idea to make today's episode. Dynasty Warriors 4 was my first experience with the series, and it's the entry I still feel the strongest attachment to. Even if my copy is a second-hand disc that looks like it's been sandpapered, one of the key moments I remember sticking with me all those years ago was doing the Battle of Hefei from Wu's perspective for the first time. Seeing Zhang Liao come right the hell out of nowhere and declaring he was going to rip the heart out of Wu left a shocking impression on its own, even more so when I promptly got murdered by the guy. That right there was the moment he stopped being that Wei officer with the Waluigi mustache and quickly went on to become one of my favorite officers in the roster. Every Dynasty Warriors game I've played since then, Zhang Liao's been one of my go-to characters once he's been unlocked. So, at a time when I've been strapped for motivation to work on researching and writing for other video ideas, how about we take a few minutes to go over Dynasty Warriors' portrayal of Zhang Liao and see how he stacks up to the historical figure, as well as his more famous adaptation, The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. My name is Sherry, and I'll be your designated talekeeper as we go back to the annals of ancient Chinese history to talk about another one of the many legends from the Three Kingdoms period, a member of the 5 elite generals of Wei, and the fearless hero of Hefei, Zhang Liao. So get out your pencils, trivia enthusiasts, because this is character development. Something I failed to mention in my previous 2 Dynasty Warriors themed episodes of character development is where our information on the Three Kingdoms period comes from. In an amusing coincidence, there are 3 main traditional sources for the turbulent fall of the Han Dynasty. Chen Shou's Records of the Three Kingdoms, which was authored in the late 3rd century and is widely viewed as the source text of the era, the Annotations to Records of the Three Kingdoms, which was published by Pei Songji in 429 CE, and effectively doubled the record's length with explanations, new details, and additional accounts. And finally, The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, credited to Luo Guanzhong, an author from the 14th century during the end of the Yuan dynasty and the beginning of the Ming dynasty. The Romance of the Three Kingdoms is by far the most famous of the 3, especially when it comes to its influence on popular culture, of which Dynasty Warriors is one of the many products. But it also greatly dramatizes the period and the people involved by weaving the historical records into an epic back-and-forth saga, including the insertion of battles and other events that just plain didn't happen or were exaggerated for the narrative. For the sake of convenience, I'll be referring to Chen Shou's Records of the Three Kingdoms by its Chinese name, Sangguozhe, while the other 2 will be referred to as the Annotations and The Romance of the Three Kingdoms. For the most part, these 3 sources agree on the major points of today's biography, but I'll point out any major inaccuracies from The Romance of the Three Kingdoms as they come. Zhang Liao, also known by his courtesy name, Wen Yuan, was a man who spent his early military career being transferred from commander to commander, before he came into the service of Cao Cao, and spent the remainder of his life as a renowned general in the army of Wei. Born in 169 CE, Zhang Liao was from the Yanmen Commandery, where he initially served as a minor official. As the Han Dynasty fell into sharp decline and the Yellow Turban Rebellion broke out across China in 184 CE, Zhang Liao was soon called to serve under Ding Yuan, an officer of the imperial army led by He Jin, whom Zhang Liao was ordered to assist via the recruitment of new soldiers. Following the suppression of the Yellow Turbans, He Jin was killed in 189 CE, during a campaign to eliminate a clique of corrupt officials known as the Ten Attendants. As a result, Zhang Liao was transferred to He Jin's replacement, Dong Zhuo. Taking advantage of the gaping power vacuum in the Han Imperial Court, Dong Zhuo asserted himself as both Grand Chancellor and Regent to a child puppet emperor, moves that were tantamount to establishing his own autocracy. Dong Zhuo's tyranny invited several enemies, who came together to form a coalition seeking to depose him. But with powerful warriors like Hua Shang, Lu Bu, and Zhang Liao in his service, Dong Zhuo was able to resist the coalition at least until 192 CE, when he was murdered by Lu Bu in a plot devised by Wang Yun. Choosing not to remain with Dong Zhuo's loyalists, Zhang Liao became a part of Lu Bu's army, following the fearsome warrior as his allegiances swung to and fro like a pendulum, unable to find satisfaction under any of his new lords. This also marks when Zhang Liao begins to appear in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, befriending Liu Bei and, more notably, Guan Yu during his travels with Lu Bu. In 198 CE, Lu Bu's impulsive disloyalty became his undoing, when Cao Cao mobilized his forces to Xiapi to eliminate the potential threat. And it's here that we get to the biggest, romanticism involving Zhang Liao in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the Battle of Xiapi and its aftermath. Zhang Liao's very presence at this battle is debatable, since the Songguozhi only says that Zhang Liao surrendered after Lu Bu was captured by Cao Cao and Liu Bei's forces. Maybe he was there, or perhaps he was stationed somewhere else and surrendered when he got the news. And while it is true that Cao Cao swiftly recruited Zhang Liao into the Wei army, the only thing dramatic that actually happened was the elevation Zhang Liao was given in such a short span of time. Even though he had been a recent recurring enemy of Cao Cao, serving in both Dong Zhuo and Lu Bu's armies, Cao Cao recognized Zhang Liao's talents as a leader, and granted him an official generalship as well as the position of secondary marquis. The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, however, makes a big scene out of the aftermath of Xiapi. In the novel's 19th chapter, Lu Bu, Zhang Liao, Chen Gong, and Gao Shun are each brought before Cao Cao and Liu Bei for judgment. Gao Shun and Chen Gong both accept their executions, while Lu Bu desperately attempts to offer himself as a warrior for Cao Cao's army. Liu Bei reminds Cao Cao of Lu Bu's record of treachery, and the bound beast is taken away to be killed. Zhang Liao is the last captive to be judged, and he uses his time to insult Cao Cao, saying that he should have died at the earlier Battle of Puyang. Cao Cao angrily raises his sword in response, but Zhang Liao is saved by the intervention of Liu Bei and Guan Yu, who convince Cao Cao that Zhang Liao is a righteous man worth saving. Also fictional is the interaction in Chapter 25, when Zhang Liao is sent to arrange Guan Yu's temporary allegiance to Cao Cao. Guan Yu's 3 conditions were added to the Romance of the Three Kingdoms for the sake of building up his relationship with Cao Cao, as well as continuing the dynamic he has with Zhang Liao, both of which come into play later in the novel. Following his promotion by Cao Cao, the Songguozhi goes on to list several Wei campaigns that Zhang Liao played a pivotal role in, including an expedition with Xiahou Yuan in the Donghai Commandery, a series of battles intended to eliminate Yuan Shao's sons, riding high off the Wei army's success at the Battle of Guandu, and the suppression of a revolt near Mount Tianju, after Cao Cao's defeat at Chebi. The Romance of the Three Kingdoms further mentions his participation in, among others, the Battle of Guandu, the follow-up assault at Kangting, and the aforementioned Battle of Chebi in 208 CE, where Zhang Liao aided Cao Cao in his retreat from the area, holding off attacks from Sun Quan and Liu Bei's soldiers. What Zhang Liao was most famous for, however, came near the end of his life in the year 214 CE, when he successfully defended the area of Hefei from a Wu army invasion despite a massive numerical disadvantage. The Wu army fielded an estimated 100,000 soldiers, while the Wei army defenses only numbered about 7,000 total. In what honestly sounds like it should be an exaggerated detail, Zhang Liao took a detachment of 800 soldiers and charged towards Sun Quan's main unit. The ambush was a success, with at least 2 Wu generals, and many more soldiers being killed. Sun Quan was too terrified to fully react to the audacious charge, and Zhang Liao's group of soldiers subsequently broke through the Wu army's attempt to encircle them. From there, Zhang Liao regrouped with Li Dian and Yue Jin, shifting his focus back to the protection of Hefei. The Wu army besieged the city, but only for 10 days before halting due to an outbreak of disease. Seizing the opportunity, Zhang Liao, Li Dian, and Yue Jin launched another surprise charge at Sun Quan's main unit, which was near the crossing at Xiaoyao Ford, detached from the rest of the army and with even fewer guards than last time. With the advice of Ling Tong, Sun Quan declared the battle lost and began to retreat, with Ling Tong and Gan Ning covering for him. Zhang Liao would continue to pursue Sun Quan one last time, coming close to beheading the Wu army commander, but Sun Quan had secured his escape by leaping his horse across a broken bridge. Sun Quan was alive, but certainly humbled. The Wei army's victory at Hefei came as a surprise to both sides, and Zhang Liao was generously congratulated for his efforts. Cao Cao granted more soldiers to Zhang Liao's command, bestowed him with the title of General Who Conquers the East, and even rode out to Hefei to observe the site of the battle with his own eyes. Pei Songji's annotations to the Songguozhi further mention that Zhang Liao was rewarded with 1,000 rolls of silk and 10,000 hu of grain. For the record, if my calculations are correct, that'd be about 518 kiloliters in modern measurements. Think of all the bread you could make with that. Zhang Liao, being a warrior until the very end, fought through illness to participate in one final campaign at the Battle of Dongkou in 222 CE. The new king and first emperor of Wei, Cao Pi, sought to press the attack against the Kingdom of Wu, and to do so he sent out many of his best officers, including Zhang Liao. Confirmation of his presence at Dongkou spread fear throughout the Wu army's ranks, bringing back memories of their earlier loss at Hefei. This leads to one last historical inaccuracy concerning Zhang Liao in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. In the novel, Zhang Liao is killed by Ding Feng at the Battle of Dongkou, which didn't actually happen. Rather, Zhang Liao moved away from the battlefield after his sickness worsened and, more importantly, when conditions seemed to be favorable to the Wei army, so that his retreat wouldn't badly affect morale. In the last months of 222 CE, Zhang Liao succumbed to his illness in the city of Jiangdu, dying at the age of 53, an impressive number at the time for someone who was not of noble birth. Fitting for his biography in the Songguozhi, as well as his characterization in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Dynasty Warriors' portrayal of Zhang Liao has a formidable yet even-tempered personality driven by his commitment to the warrior's path, a road he wishes to follow to his grave. Aside from his obvious subject and lord relationship with Cao Cao, Zhang Liao is shown to have a great deal of respect for Lu Bu, whom he sees as a man capable of great honor beyond his brutish exterior, Xu Huang, a fellow Wei officer following the path of the warrior with great resolve, and Guan Yu, largely based on their relationship in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, as two warriors each motivated by a personal code of chivalry, but divided by their allegiance to different lords with equally different ideals. Zhang Liao's dynamic with Guan Yu is also reflected through his weapon choice in Dynasty Warriors 3, 4, and 5. In these earlier titles, Zhang Liao wields a polearm with a curved blade, intended as a complement to Guan Yu. Zhang Liao's polearms even have a similar dragon-themed naming convention, especially in Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5. Guan Yu has his famous, if also anachronistic, green dragon blade from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, while Zhang Liao wields his own parallel, the blue wyvern blade. Ever since Dynasty Warriors 6, however, Zhang Liao has switched to using the twin axes as his primary weapon type. Certainly looking more imposing, yes, but also losing all the character symbolism he had in the previous games. At the very least, you can give him a crescent blade as his secondary weapon to partially relive his moveset from the classic games. That's what I did in Dynasty Warriors 8, but it feels a little hollow. Although Zhang Liao lost the symbolism of his weapon choice, Dynasty Warriors 6 would introduce a new angle to Zhang Liao's character by fleshing out his relationship with Cao Cao, especially in regard to how much trust was immediately given to him, and why Cao Cao chose to spare him instead of Lu Bu. This is something I'll commend the modern Dynasty Warriors games for. Seeing Zhang Liao deal with a twinge of initial self-doubt, rather than just flying the blue banner of Wei right out of the gates, was a refreshing change of pace, and it makes his transition into the fearless, dedicated warrior we all know and love feel more natural and satisfying to see. However, at the same time, I have to bring up something that was lost in the transition from classic Dynasty Warriors to modern Dynasty Warriors. See, Dynasty Warriors 4 and 5 both feature part of Zhang Liao's careers under Dong Zhuo and Lu Bu to varying degrees. Dynasty Warriors 4 lets you play as Zhang Liao for an entire hypothetical campaign where he helps Lu Bu conquer all of Han China, whereas in Dynasty Warriors 5, 3 of the 5 stages comprising Zhang Liao's story are given to battles from before he joined Cao Cao's forces. Why this stopped being a thing in the modern installments, I don't really know, other than the story modes becoming more and more faction-focused instead of character-focused. I miss it all the same. Speaking of things that are absent, none of Zhang Liao's story modes thus far have included the Battle of Dongkou, but this is most likely because the Battle of Hefei is his big moment, the campaign that made him a legend, so ending his story on that apex near the end of his life is perfectly justified. And indeed, nearly every one of Zhang Liao's story modes ends with the Battle of Hefei, or has him as one of the compulsory characters, as is the case with Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8. He does appear as an enemy at the Battle of Dongkou in Dynasty Warriors 7, though instead of retreating from illness or being slain by Ding Feng, he gets killed by Sun Quan instead, in what was probably intended as a symbolic payback for Wu's loss at Hefei. And while we're on the subject of the Battle of Hefei, as well as its importance to the story and characterization of Zhang Liao, I'd like to give a mention to which Dynasty Warriors title has my favorite version of the battle, in addition to which version I believe is the most accurate to the source material. In terms of my personal favorite, that goes to Dynasty Warriors 5 without any shadow of a doubt. Zhang Liao's dramatic entrance into battle, the striking orange sky that gives everything a reddish hue, the initial race to capture the area's neutral bases, the late arrival of Gan Ning's unit, and one of the best themes in Dynasty Warriors 5's soundtrack. There is hardly a dull moment, and right from the start, you get a good sense of the stakes at hand. If you're playing as Zhang Liao specifically, the ambush on Sun Quan's position doesn't happen. But to make up for that, there's more emphasis placed on your performance specifically, and eliminating officers and large numbers of soldiers will initially impress, and soon terrify, the Wu forces, causing their morale to plummet. Sure, it may have its inaccuracies, but man, the way the presentation all comes together, it's like a surge of dopamine. Just inject it right into my veins. Now, if you're looking for historical accuracy, I would point right at Dynasty Warriors 8. Even before the battle begins, there's a reference to the initial doubt in Cao Cao's orders, because 1. Yue Jin was in charge of defending the city despite being a vanguard officer, and 2. Li Dian and Zhang Liao had personal disagreements with each other and weren't expected to cooperate well, which is, pretty critical for an organized counterattack. This information is sort of mentioned in Chapter 67 of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, but the actual doubt comes from the Sangguoja. Regarding the battle, playing as Zhang Liao requires departing from Hefei Castle to maneuver around the Wu army's siege force, same as the source material, though from there it combines the first and second ambushes, in the sense that Yue Jin and Li Dian join up for the assault partway through, and that Sun Quan makes his escape immediately after clashing with the Wei officers. Really, none of the series' interpretations of the Battle of Hefei are perfect, since there's only so much you can do within the game's framework and the limitations that come with that, but Dynasty Warriors 8 is definitely the one that feels closest to accurate. I should probably take this opportunity to mention that, as part of the research for this episode, I wrote down a list of the stages from all of Zhang Liao's character-specific story modes in Dynasty Warriors 3, 5, 6, and technically 9, as well as the Wei story modes in Dynasty Warriors 2, 4, 7, and 8, to see which battles were the most frequently associated with Zhang Liao. In particular, any battles mentioned in his biography in the Sangguoja, or in the chapters of the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. After the already established Battle of Hefei, the most common setting for Zhang Liao is the Battle of Chebi, for which he is playable in every entry except Dynasty Warriors 7. Considering the sheer scope and importance of the battle, it's all but a given that Zhang Liao would be present, even if his more important role was in the withdrawal instead. And then the third most common stage, with a total of 5 appearances, is the Battle of Changban, of which Zhang Liao's participation is mentioned in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, but not in the Song Guojie. Speaking of the Song Guojie, another observation I made is that, thus far, only Dynasty Warriors 8 acknowledges the historical campaigns against the sons of Yuan Shao. This was done by including the Battle of Mount Bailong, better known as the Battle of White Wolf Mountain, during which Zhang Liao is one of the playable officers. For that matter, none of the games have mentioned Zhang Liao and Xiahou Yuan's expedition against Changxi in the Donghai Commandery, even though I could easily imagine it as a side mission in Dynasty Warriors 9. That's certainly potential inspiration for the next entry, but if I've arrived at speculation without review, I think that's a sign that we're done here. Altogether, today's analysis leaves me in a mindset that's very similar to the conclusions I came to in my earlier episode on Yuan Shao a year and a half ago. Although I'll fully admit I have a bias to the classic Dynasty Warriors games, especially 4 and 5, I can't deny that there's merit to be had in the modern game's change in direction as well. The classic entries have the advantage of showing Zhang Liao's early career under lords before Cao Cao, as well as, in my opinion, better capturing Zhang Liao's acclaimed skill as a general and warrior, one whose might and sense of chivalry put him on par with Guan Yu. But in the modern entries, he's been portrayed in a more human way. Zhang Liao has his initial doubts and questioning of purpose, doubts that he overcomes to transform into the warrior whose resolve would secure a resounding victory at Hefei, a triumph of a numerical disadvantage which the series has gotten closer and closer to getting accurate to the source material. If that earlier character symbolism was brought back, it might well lead to the series' best portrayal of Zhang Liao yet. Though considering that Dynasty Warriors 9 hasn't received its Empires expansion yet, and its Extreme Legends expansion hasn't even been announced, it's fair to say that Dynasty Warriors 10 is still a ways away. But hey, on the off chance that someone from Koei-Tecmo is listening, can we see more of Zhang Liao's pre-Wei story again, without having to use free mode and alternate costumes as a compromise? I feel like we've only been getting half of the story that our Waluigi mustached hero of Hefei deserves.